Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name's Gretchen, and today I just wanted to take a couple minutes to update you on my reading journey through the two women's prizes as well as the International Booker. It is about 7:34. Today is Tuesday, April 9th, so they are going to be announcing the shortlist for the International Booker very soon. I think they also are announcing the shortlist for the Carol Shields Prize as well. There are so many things that are going through my head right now with these book prizes. And first and foremost, the one that is wearing on me is I feel like I'm getting to the point where I'm not enjoying the reading process anymore with a lot of these books. And it's not that I'm in a slump or I'm not enjoying the act of reading. I am really, I always enjoy reading, but my level of disappointment for the quality, and this is completely my opinion. I know that there are others out there that are likely really enjoying themselves and they're finding books that they're really gelling with and connecting with, but I'm just not one of them at the moment. I am really struggling specifically with the International Booker, and this is very unlike me. Translated fiction is my jam. I love it. I am always finding at the end of the year that a good bit of the books that if they're not in my top, they are very close to the top, are translated pieces of work. And I will preface this by saying that there are, I think, 5 books that I have finished. I have finished Not a River, Lost on Me, The Details, Undiscovered, and The Silver Bone. And with the exception of Not a River and The Details, which I found to be enjoyable but not phenomenal, the other ones are leaving me very deflated. I am really struggling with this because I'm 5 books in. So what's that? Close to 40% of the Longlist is complete for me, and I have yet to be blown away with a book. I have yet to come up with a book where I would feel comfortable saying to many people that this is a must-read book. Now, I will say I am currently reading Mater 210, and this is much more promising. I'm actually enjoying myself a lot with this book so far, but I will say I'm only 85 pages in, so there's a lot of, I guess, real estate for me to change my mind about it. And then I also started reading, I also started reading Kairos last night, and I'm enjoying this so far. And so far, these 2 books seem to be more in line with what I was expecting as far as writing goes. And I am hoping that perhaps I made the mistake of choosing the order in which I was reading the books, and determining, which order I read them was very much based on my ability to get my hands on them. So I know that that was kind of out of my control. I didn't want to wait until I had everything. So I just started reading them as I acquired them, but I'm just not feeling it. And this is a book prize that I have followed for a long time, and I'm just not feeling like these are International Booker worthy books. And I know that might be very controversial. I know that there are probably going to be a lot of people out there that disagree with me, but from the ones that I have read completely, I'm just not feeling that that vibe. Now, like I said, I'm hoping that I got rid of my duds or my lesser enjoyable reads up front. I know that there are still a lot of books for me to read, but when I look at my enjoyment level from last year, there were so many books that I fell in love with and I thought were phenomenal. And right now, even if the rest of the books that I read are 4 or 5 stars, this year is not going to be as successful as last year's. And, you know, that's on me, I'm sure. Like I said, I'm sure there are others out there that are going to completely disagree with me. But yeah, I'm just feeling a little disappointed, and I could normally get past that. I know there have been years with the Booker where I have felt the same way, but I think the reason for that is the regular Booker kind of stands on its own. Its long list doesn't get announced until July. It is toward the end of book prize season, so by the time we really get to the Booker, the other book prizes have slowed down or they have ended. So really, I'm only focusing on the Booker reads, and it gives me more of an opportunity to sprinkle other books in there as well that are not a part of the book prize. And I'm wondering if that really is what this is coming down to for me, because I'm having a little bit of FOMO because I am really wanting to get to some of my anticipated releases. Like, I am so waiting. I am sitting on my hands trying not to pick up James by Percival Everett. That was my most anticipated book of the year, and I have just been hearing all of these great things about it, how it's a masterpiece and it's his best work yet, and I am feeling really left out because I can't commit the bandwidth to it right now to get to it. And maybe part of me is taking that out on these other books. But regardless, I think that this is really bringing to light what changes I might need to put in place for myself next year. I know that my goal is always every year to read the long list in their entirety for the women's and the international Booker. And that's not an issue. That is something that I will always do. But I think what I really need to do is not necessarily put the pressure on myself to get those long lists read before the short list is announced. I think it is a more than reasonable goal to make sure that the long list is completed by the time that the prize winner is announced. I think that would take a lot of pressure off of myself, but also the incorporation of the Women's Prize for Nonfiction this year really took its toll on me. And I'm not saying that I haven't enjoyed that prize. As a matter of fact, I've enjoyed that prize, the nonfiction prize, more than any of the other ones so far. I have just found some really phenomenal books from that prize, and I am so grateful for it. But I think what I really need to do is think about how I'm going to attack, or my plan of attack for those 3 book prizes happening kind of simultaneously next year, and how I'm going to manage it. So obviously with the nonfiction prize, I could say to myself, well, you know what, I'm going to wait to start to read the books and only commit to the short list. But the short list is announced after the women's prize is announced, and we have that long list. And then also it's the same with the international Booker. And then if I'm waiting to start reading any of the nonfiction picks, then those are 6 more books that are getting added on to the other books. So I really need to think about how I'm going to attack it. And I think honestly that with the Women's Prize for nonfiction, I need to just choose the books that seem interesting to me and ones that I would read regardless of them making the short list and being okay with that. There were definitely books that I actively was not enjoying. The subject matter was just not for me, but I persisted and I kept going because I wanted to, I wanted to complete the list. I wanted to make sure that I read everything so that I could fairly compare them. And what I realized with nonfiction is that you're not always comparing apples to apples when it comes to nonfiction, because there are so many different subgenres and different types of nonfiction books that it's really difficult to put a memoir up against a science-based book. So I think that next year, probably I will, choose my reads more selectively from the nonfiction prize and take that pressure off of myself. Now, as far as the Women's Prize for nonfiction goes, there are 2 more books that I have to complete the short list. I'm actively reading one of them and I am very much enjoying it. And then I have to read Code Dependent, which is a book that I was very much looking forward to reading anyway. So once those 2 books are out of the way, I think I'm going to stop with the Women's Prize for nonfiction, even though there are other books that I want to read and I will eventually get to them. I just can't put that on myself right now to finish those by the time that they announce the winner, which I believe is in June. Now, if things change, if things start to pick up with the book prizes and the books that I start to pick up for the International Booker and the Women's Prize really start to pick up and they're propulsive and I get through them very quickly and they're enjoyable, that might completely open up the doors for me to revisit those other pieces of nonfiction that I didn't get to. But we're gonna have to see, because at this point in time, I don't want my reading to suffer. I don't want to end up in a slump where I don't want to read anything at all, trying to make sure that all of these books that I'm potentially not having a great time with are books that I continue to force myself to read and get through. Now, I know that there's always the option for me to DNF a book, which I very rarely DNF a book, especially when it comes to books that are in book prizes, because I just personally don't think that it's fair to choose an overall winner or a shortlist prediction if I can't fairly give every book a chance and see it through to the end. The book can completely change and the second half of it could be life-changing. And if I didn't force myself through, I'm never gonna know the merit of that book to its fullest. So I really don't like DNFing books that are a part of prize long lists, but we'll see. I mean, if it's an absolute detriment to my reading health, then I might have to take a couple minutes to revisit that and decide whether or not that's something that I will do. Now, I know that we talked a lot about the International Booker, but I'm feeling very much the same about the Women's Prize. There really hasn't been, with the exception of one. Ordinary Human Failings is fantastic. I loved that book, and I haven't put my review out for that yet, but spoiler alert, that book deserves to be on the list. And right now, as far as the reads that I've completed, that is definitely going to be a shortlist prediction, and it is very possible that it could be the winner. However, some of the other books that I have read from the list already, so I've read Western Lane, 8 Lives of a Century-Old Trickster, Hangman, Ordinary Human Failings, and then She Fell, River East, River West. And I am actively in the middle of reading A Trace of Sun and Soldier Sailor. Soldier Sailor I'm loving as well, so I can already tell you that that's a book that I'm gonna put on my shortlist prediction. But so far for the Women's Prize, like, I'm feeling a little more hopeful about it because Ordinary Human Failings did blow me away, so I have that wow book. But the other ones so far are just not doing it for me. They're not to the level that I'm expecting, but I hope that I can turn that around. But we'll see what happens. I'm still enjoying myself overall. I don't think that I'm to the point where I'm ready to just give up on everything. I am just really disappointed in the quality. Watching all of the predictions, doing all of the research leading up to the Longlist announcements, reading all of the reviews and summaries and all of these things about books that were eligible, it just is really, I just question how these are the books that we landed on. Now, some of them, obviously, I understand completely how they made the list, but others, I'm just scratching my head about. But I'm not a chair on a prize. I'm not a judge on a prize. So I know and I understand that it's not up to me, but I really, really hope that the regular Booker Prize later this year is going to be the prize that picks itself up and really truly shines for me. So I know that I've been babbling for a while about all of this. I will probably not come back and do a reaction to the long list, or I should say the short list for the International Booker, but I'll mention that in probably my next International Booker review that I do, which will likely be for the Silver Bone. I have several videos that I have filmed. It's been kind of a crazy week or so for me. So I have several of my individual book reviews filmed already. I just need to get them edited. And there are about 4 other books that I have finished that I still need to film for as well. So once again, you're probably gonna see a dump of videos once I get the chance to get in and get those edited and everything. But yeah, so thanks for listening to me kind of vent and kind of try to process my feelings about these book prizes right now. And you should be hearing from me soon. And until we read again, bye.